So I saw a bunch of movies, and they're not all new movies. I saw some movies pretty casually. Was just, doing some Netflix and chill, but actually using Netflix and chilling. Figured I might as well talk about these movies on the channel because I've got them fresh in my mind from the past few weeks anyway. First one being Scary Movie, a movie that I watched a lot when I was younger, so it was really interesting revisiting this film as an adult. I was super into the 90s slasher horror films that this film was parodying when I was younger. I would rent them all the time from the video store. I would just watch a bunch of horror movies, and that was most of my media diet. So it was great watching this because I understood all of the references, I understood all of the tropes. Not like you need to watch a lot of 90s slasher movies to understand horror tropes, but there were definitely some benefits towards being familiar with those horror films when watching this film. The style of comedy for this film is very similar to the movie Airplane, a classic comedy from, 1980. There we go. And with this movie coming out 20 years after that, it was kind of refreshing because there aren't that many great films in that genre. There aren't that many passable films in that genre even. It unfortunately winds up getting pretty bloated, and also Scary Movie is the reason why it got pretty bloated after Scary Movie. A lot of really bad movies from Friedberg and Seltzer, the two that were responsible for just absolutely destroying the genre. They created things like epic movie, date movie, disaster movie, and a whole bunch of other garbage nonsense that was no longer even funny. It was just referencing celebrities and pop culture. It'd be like, oh, this is referencing another movie. And it's like, okay, well, I get the reference, but then that's all there is to it. It's just references. There's no joke in there. I'm glad that they're not making popular movies anymore because those sucked so hard. Looks like they haven't done anything since 2015. I guess they're done, hopefully. But interestingly enough, those two were actually two of, I think, the 6 writers on this film, but this is also considered to be a Wayans Brothers movie. So the director of Scary Movie is Keenan Ivory Wayans, and it stars Shawn Wayans and Marlon Wayans. So we got 3 Wayans brothers involved in this movie. And so it really does kind of seem like the Wayans brothers were kind of holding it together in a way, considering just how awful these films got when they weren't in the picture. I only revisited Scary Movie 1 and 2, but I did also watch 3 when I was younger, and I don't even remember if I watched 4, and the fact that there's a 5 is still confusing to me. Like, you could tell me that there wasn't a 5 and I wouldn't even know. After Scary Movie 2, Keenan Ivory Wayans was no longer directing, but honestly, the second one's not amazing anyway. The first Scary Movie is not perfect, but it does have a good amount of funny moments, and I do appreciate very much just how profane and explicit it is. There's a part where someone's goes through someone's head and that is pretty funny, and just the fact that they showed it, the fact that they weren't pussies about it, they actually showed it. It was kind of funny. You don't see a lot of movies that are willing to be that explicit. Just the raunchiness and just how inappropriate it feels does add a layer of comedy to it for me. The first Scary Movie is a film that, even though a lot of it is reference humor, the story is still functioning in a proper slasher format. If you wanted to take it seriously, you could be guessing who the killer is. There's a straightforward narrative from beginning to end, even though a lot of it doesn't make any sense, and it's not supposed to, because it's supposed to be over the top and just dumb. It's supposed to be dumb. Unfortunately, the second movie, there's nothing really holding it together for the most part. They go into a haunted mansion and there's like a ghost. It's kind of incomprehensible why they're even there. And the references that they're making in Scary Movie 2, they don't seem to be ones that make sense in terms of carrying forward the plot. It's not just, oh, here's some horror tropes. It's just like, oh, here's a bunch of random film references. I loved Scary Movie 2 when I was younger. I watched it so many times, and I think I probably enjoyed it more than the first one. But watching it now, I'm like, it's really not as strong. It's not as strong narratively. It's not as strong comedically. A lot of it is just kind of like weird, gross out humor. One of the characters has a hand that is, I guess, deformed, and they're like, ew, that's gross, and he keeps putting in things, and it's not just deformed, it looks kind of greasy, and they really just hang on that joke for so long and then keep doing it. It's not that funny. I don't like that these characters are all here in this mansion doing Scooby-Doo shit when the first film felt so much purer. I liked the idea that they were just high school students played by 30-year-olds trying not to get murdered, I guess. I liked the simple plot, and it carried the movie a lot better. Scary Movie 2, not the worst worst movie ever, and it's not worth watching, I guess. There's so much of it that falls flat that I can't think of the overall experience positively. So at some point I will revisit Scary Movie 3. Maybe I'll try checking out 4 and 5. But for now, I just watched the first 2. So Scary Movie 1, I'm giving a 6 out of 10. And Scary Movie 2, I'm giving a 4 out of 10, even though it probably deserves less, but I had a bit of nostalgia for it. They're worth checking out. They are certainly not memorable. The same day, I checked out White Chicks because I just felt like having a casual day, Netflix and chilling. So this is another Wayans Brothers joint, directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans, so same director. And this is in 2004, so this isn't that long after Scary Movie. Scary Movie was 2000 and Scary Movie 2 was 2001. And so White Chicks is their follow-up. It's literally the next movie he directed after Scary Movie 2. And holy crap, it's just so bad. The premise, I don't understand how anyone's supposed to get past the premise. Essentially, okay, these are 2 black male undercover officers posing as white women. And not just white women in general, just 2 specific white women. And so you see the other 2 characters that they're supposed to be in the film. You see the other characters that they're supposed to look like, and it does not work at all. It's like they do not look like the 2 characters that they're supposed to look like. And they definitely look like they're wearing masks the entire film. They don't sound like they're supposed to sound. This is a weird movie. It makes sense that it would come out in 2004. You couldn't make this today. The biggest problems with the film are not like conceptually it's unbelievable or, oh, the humor is a bit outdated or the subject matter you wouldn't be able to tackle today. Those aren't the biggest problems with the film. The biggest problems with the film is that it's fucking lazy. It is so conceptually lazy. Every single fucking scene in this movie is just dinner and drinks. They go and have dinner and drinks in one location, and they're like, oh, I'm embarrassing myself. And then they go have dinner and drinks in another location. They're like, oh, I'm embarrassing myself again. And then they'll separate, and then one of them will have dinner and drinks with another character. We've got Terry Crews is kind of funny in this movie. He tries, and one of them has dinner and drinks with him. They're like, oh, I'm acting real gross right now. And then the next scene is dinner and drinks. Their ideas for where they would go with the story and the script are just so basic and surface level and embarrassing. Now they're trying on clothes, one of the rare non-dinner and drinks scenes. Now they're trying on clothes, but the clothes don't fit. Oh, doing a woman thing, you know? It's just like this surface level idea of what women do or how they think, and it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be a comedy movie, I get it. It's not supposed to be a smart comedy movie even, but they could have tried. And it just feels like they didn't try, is its biggest problem. Everything's just dinner and drinks and them embarrassing themselves, and a lot of it's just not funny. It's not a torture movie in the sense that I could have turned it off and I didn't. Was kind of just curious about it, and even though it is kind of exhausting, just how many scenes are just dinner and drinks, it's absolutely insane. They do a dance-off, they win the dance-off because they're black, is the implication. The white women are like, yeah, we showed them, thanks for being on our team, friends. And they do the whole, we enjoyed hanging out more with the fake yous than you themselves. And it's a movie that is just bizarre for even existing. Out of curiosity, I tried checking out Little Man, which is the film they created after White Chicks, and I couldn't even stomach it. I just couldn't even try. I didn't get very far at all. I was like, what is this even trying to be? Like, this is so unwatchable. So, Wayans Brothers, you got some good stuff, I guess, kind of. Maybe I should watch I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. That seems like a fun one to watch. I need to watch some In Living Color, because they were on that. Also, yeah, I would like to point out, Marlon Wayans is fucking awesome in Requiem for a Dream. Marlon Wayans is like really great in that serious dramatic movie that is also kind of traumatizing, and it's really fucked up. So it is kind of funny seeing the contrast between him doing that and then him playing like Shorty in Scary Movie. Every single element of this plot is just the laziest fucking thing they possibly could have written. Oh, my wife thinks that I'm cheating on her even though I'm not. Every scene will be just conveniently over the phone. You'll say the wrong thing or they'll hear the wrong thing, and it's like, oh, this is reinforcing the thing that makes her think that I'm cheating on her even though I'm not. But I can't tell her the truth because I'm undercover. And it's just like, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. You know? It's like the one thing that you would think of putting in there if you didn't want to put any effort into your writing at all. This was written by, holy God, 6 writers. I'm astonished that it was 6 writers for this, because it's just dinner and drinks. That's every scene. I will say 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton is a fucking banger song, okay? As a white woman, it's a fucking banger song. I rock to that shit, okay? Making my way downtown. I'll fucking karaoke that shit. 1 out of 10 for white chicks. Didn't even try with Little Man. I can't. I would imagine it's a 1 out of 10 if I finished it. But I didn't even get far enough to to even get a full comprehension of what the movie was, because I was not willing to. It was very, very, very boring and pathetic. Another film that I saw casually was Red. It's from 2010. It's got Bruce Willis and Morgan Freeman in it, and John Malkovich, and it's a big piece of crap. It's really bad. We watched it because my boyfriend had some nostalgia for it, wanted to revisit it, and remembered liking it when he was younger. It did not hold up for him, unsurprisingly, because it's really, really bad. For some reason, this has 7 out of 10 on IMDb. That's really interesting. Wasn't expecting that one. This is, I guess, a superhero movie. I think it's in the DC universe. Red, as explained in the movie, stands for Retired and Extremely Dangerous. Which is really, really lame. Horrifically lame, in fact. Bruce Willis doesn't do an amazing job in this movie. No one really does. Carl Urban is in this movie, but he looks so different than how I'm used to him, which is from The Boys. He looks like a completely different person, and it's very weird. The absolute worst part about this film is the score. There's several scenes that you could just fix in this movie if you just removed the music or replaced the music with different music.
Oh, can we have that one?
It is so overbearing and so conflicting with any tone that anybody could possibly want out of this movie. It's this weird trying to be cool, but also just especially now feeling like really dated. Why are you trying to sound kind of like funky and cool? It's kind of weird old person cool. It's just not well composed. It is so incredibly over-present in this movie, and it ruins every scene, and it's like, what are you even trying to communicate with this tone? Absolutely insane why they would want that tone in this film. Absolutely generic sounding, just uninspired, cringe soundtrack. It's a cringe soundtrack. It's awful. It makes me feel pain, this music. It sounds very lame, and it makes the whole movie feel lame as you're watching it, because what's happening in the film is not all that special. It's not all that memorable. There's one memorable part where Bruce Willis is getting out of a vehicle as he's like crashing it, I guess. It's spinning and he walks out of it, and just the physics don't make any sense. Yeah, it does not make sense physically how that happened. Like, it would have clipped him. It was absolutely bizarre. Another memorable scene in this film is when John Malkovich brings like a weird plush pig, and it looks very unintentionally scary. Like, it's so creepy. The creepy ass eyes and lips. And some props person got asked to make that, and they made that, and I guess there were no alternatives. And I don't know what went wrong. I don't know how that could make its way on set and then just into the film, and people just started filming it. It's so unintentionally creepy. It did not seem like it was supposed to be creepy in the context of the film, but it's creepy as fuck. It is the plush pig of nightmares. Not a great movie. Very forgettable. Insanely forgettable. Apparently there's a sequel. I'm glad that I avoided this one when I was younger. I made the right choice. 4 out of 10. It's pretty bad. I watched the Bad Boys movies, and I think it was at the second one. There was a side character that said Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
And the subtitle for the Blu-ray said speaking Italian.
Yes. Untranslatable. It's just Italian.
If these are empty, you still gonna owe.
Mamma mia.